Hey guys, I'm Kent. Welcome back to Abnormalities. We've got a special guest appearance tonight.
Chris,
Joshua,
And they are?
Creamy
Dreamy
Productions.
So guys,
Yes.
what brings you here tonight on our show?
We're making a movie. And we're going to be looking for people to play in our movie.
How many, what are you guys looking for? Are you guys looking for more men, more women?
We're looking for all the above, really.
Okay.
We have big list of different customers. Anybody that's worked in customer service can definitely relate with this film. But
Okay.
we're looking for a lot of people to play zombies.
Yes.
So what's the kind of, what brought you to doing a movie customer service based zombies?
It was I had an original spoof of my experience at my job there, and he put in a little twist on that spoof.
So it's this guy's fault that it's going to be zombies.
More or less. Once I kind of threw him that curveball, we just started bouncing off each other continuously. We still do to this day, idea after idea, but it's evolved into something that's like going to be like about a triple feature film here.
Okay, so it's going to be a series, basically.
More or less, we're still adding to it. Even as we speak, we're still adding to it. So it's
Okay.
easy to get lost.
Can you give us some key points about the movies?
Sure. You go.
All right. So it begins about our experiences at our customer service job there. All our life's experiences, what we deal with and whatnot. And things start to turn a little sour there. Some of our clientele seem a little less lively there.
Okay.
Yeah, we got used to a certain customer base, and we realized there's a big change. And when we start to uncover this change, we realize it turns into this giant conspiracy, more or less. But we try to do the proper thing, like, say, turning a situation over to the authorities, only there's such a cover-up that we realize we're the only ones that are going to be able to defend what's ours and
Okay.
whatnot.
What are you thinking the rating on this movie is going to be so our viewers will know?
R for really awesome.
Okay. And have you guys started the actual filming yet? Are you still in the script writing?
We are still actually producing the actual script,
Okay.
the actual concrete script, because it keeps changing and it's easy to get lost. So we're trying to make sure we have concrete foundations for which the film's based off of. So as far as filming goes, we're looking to be filming here really soon, probably less than a month.
Okay. And are you guys going to need any additional help in the filming process besides us?
Definitely all the help we can get. The more the merrier. We're looking for people to play both customers or zombies or both. But we're really trying to throw in a lot of, I don't want to give away too much, a lot of people's arrogance and stupidity as far as customer service goes.
Okay.
Everyone has to deal with it in some way, shape, or form. So it's pointing that out and just kind of having some fun with it, throwing the
Okay.
zombies into the mix. So if anyone wants to be a zombie, we welcome any and everybody.
Okay.
We're also going to be looking for different places to film and shoot, so we're going to be looking in different places within Salem for the most part, or around. So,
Okay, and are you guys, what's your potential release date on this thing?
We're hoping for early 2017, if not sooner. We're trying to get everything lined up in place so that we can actually film this very productively and do all the editing and whatnot. We still have a little bit to go as far as making props and whatnot, but it's definitely getting there. So we're hoping before the beginning of 2017. Hoping for.
Okay. And are you looking for a specific time of year to launch this, or is it just going to be whenever it's ready?
I would prefer Halloween, that's for certain, but, not being picky, we haven't really discussed too much on when we're wanting the actual release date to be, but just whenever it's ready, we want to actually put Salem on the map.
Okay. And then, is there anything else you guys want to add on any key points that you think people need to know about? How do people get a hold of you if they are interested?
Go for it.
We are Creamy Dreamy Productions on Facebook. You can catch us there. We'll be working on a website soon-ish.
Okay. Anything else?
No, we're looking to do a couple trailers here really soon. So if anybody wants to be part of it, we're trying to get all the people that we can to come aboard and play a zombie, like I said. We have a couple trailers. They're like teaser trailers to show you this is what's in store, and we want to get that done as soon as we can.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, you heard it here. Creamy Dreamy Productions is coming out with a zombie movie, putting Salem on the map, and hit them up on Facebook. See if there's anything you can do to help.
Welcome to another episode of Abnormality. As always, I'm your host, Big Tony. I got my buddy Chris down here.
Oh, so you're Chris now?
Well, why'd you wave? You're not Chris. And we've got special guest, Baby Jesus. Daniel Perez is here in the studio to help us out with some
Hey
stuff.
guys, how's it going?
How's it going, bud?
Beard's coming in nice. I like it.
It is.
Very soft.
It
Very
is.
It
soft,
lines
very
up
soft.
pretty nice to my neckline, doesn't?
And I got to
shave.
say that when I first, met you, you didn't have any facial hair.
Yeah.
This is a way better look. It's more rugged. It's like that whole Man from Snowy River look. Do you have like a really long rifle you pull out and ride a horse?
He looks
No.
like Justin Bieber meets Grizzly Adams.
How do you see Justin Bieber in that?
Because of this.
Because of my hair.
Because of this.
I don't see it. Grizzly Adams, I buy that. You know, Grizzly Adams died.
Yeah,
That's sad stuff.
That I grew up on that show. That was the one channel we got at my house.
The one channel.
the one channel.
I lived in a small
Well, you have to
town.
remember, that was back with the dinosaurs, like,
Seriously.
long time ago.
It was like the TV was like this big, and the screen was like this, and it was black and white.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's black and white. It was like a little
Well,
tunnel
so you
screen.
turned 56 this year, right?
56, yeah. And we had a cool remote. It was like, Mom, Tony, change the channel.
It kind of reminds me of the TV when I went to the Ramblin' Rod show when I was 5 years old. Actually, you didn't go on that one.
No, I
it was
went
for
to
my
the
5th
next year.
birthday, and at
You
the
guys
time,
met
this little-
Ramblin'?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, that's hardcore.
the guy was drunk on the studio.
Hell
So-
yes, he was.
so
And you don't get to watch cartoons. The
little-
crap is you're sitting there and you don't get to watch cartoons.
Actually, you do. There's a little tiny TV, but it's like the little tunnel TV. You get to see from far away from the audience. They have the little tiny,
They gave you sugar,
little
right, to
tiny
keep you amped
TV
up.
to watch.
So I apologize. My buddies got off task here. So what's this episode about, Chris? What are we going to talk about today?
well, we've kind of covered a lot of topics this season, but there's one that we haven't really discussed much.
Was Ramblin' Rod on the board?
I think there's something supernatural with that show. I really do.
He's a little bit creepy, a little bit spooky.
I think we should hunt him.
He might be.
Like,
I saw
He might be passed away too. You never know.
He's probably listening right now, and he's going to
if
start
anybody's
throwing.
in the booth right now, can you guys check see if Ramblin' Rod's dead?
He did die, and he's going to throw buttons at you. He had like 174 of them on his sweater.
There was a lot of them,
263.
That's a lot of flair.
How do either of you guys know the
He had
exact
the
numbers?
bling.
I don't know the exact
I
numbers.
Google random things.
I want to Google that and check that up.
So what are we talking about, Chris? What are we
Well,
doing here
except
tonight?
we've covered a lot of topics over the course of this season, but one we haven't really talked about are UFOs or cryptozoology, beasts, vampires, werewolves, aliens. We haven't really had a chance to go over and kind of just talk about it at this point.
So Edward or Jacob?
I don't catch your mean.
That's like the vampires against the werewolves. Who would you pick,
You mean
Edward
Underworld?
or Jacob?
Choose a different story.
No, Twilight.
And you just sealed your fate.
That's okay.
And you want him to be the host.
Oh,
Can I
you
hire
bet
you?
I'm the host. You're hired. It's the paycheck sucks,
Yeah.
but give it a shot. So, werewolves, vampires.
Aliens.
That's not kind of your area though. That's not
So
something you
see,
really.
that's the great thing about having somebody like Daniel here.
Yeah.
Somebody who's decently versed in the phenomenon that is UFOs.
Decently versed.
You can never know. You never
That's
know
awesome.
enough. You
Yeah.
know what you know. I mean, our whole lives we compile knowledge, right? That's what we spend our time doing.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have our certain topics that we have compiled the most knowledge on.
Okay.
For Daniel, it's little green men from Mars.
Not necessarily from Mars, but yeah, it's kind of my thing. I like reading up on that kind of stuff and learning
Yeah.
about it
Why is that so fascinating to you?
because sometimes I really don't want to be on this planet.
Yeah.
I'd rather just be, if the technology was there, I'd be coasting the stars. I wouldn't be
Well,
here.
and to be honest with you, we'd have to be pretty naive to think that in this big old giant galaxy that is all these things that we're it. That's kind of
It's only 6,000 years
egotistical.
old.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
It's only 6,000 years old.
Wow, that's pretty young.
That's religion.
Yeah.
It's millions of years old, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah. We promised no religion.
So, Daniel, what got you kind of into the idea of UFOs and aliens and, I mean, cruising the stars, essentially?
Grew up just liking stuff about outer space and just learning about it and the stars and stuff like that and how big it actually is because people don't understand how big the universe is. It's like if if you it's kind of hard to not explain it if I don't have a piece of paper in hand, but if you start out with the Milky Way, which is just what we live in, it's our whole galaxy that we live in. We live in the solar system, and the solar system, our solar system is called Sol, S-O-L. That's, I don't know if you want to make any reference on it. That's just the reference. That's the name of our sun is called
Like
Sol.
the car? Oh wait, no, that's S-O-U-L.
So we got
Or like Korea.
we got
Seoul,
the 9
Korea.
planets, including Pluto, but we actually got 13, I believe 13 or 14
They
planets.
just found a planet, didn't they?
Yeah, they have more than 9 planets previously thought, but they're all dwarf planets. The rest of them, like Pluto.
What about the one they just found like last couple
That
weeks?
is included in them. I'm not sure why
Is
they're
it
announcing
goofy?
it now. They've known it for a while. But anyways, we have all these planets revolving on our sun, and our sun is just a tiny, tiny speck in the Milky Way galaxy. And then we have millions and millions and millions and billions of other galaxies out there, which have billions and millions of stars, which have at least probably a couple planets revolving around each and every one of them.
You'd think there'd at least be a couple.
Yeah, you would think so.
So have you ever had any experiences or something that makes it important to you?
One to come to mind is I've told him time and time again. There was one time we were up in West Salem, and it was by our friend's house, and it was me and my brother Chris and a couple other friends. No, we weren't actually drinking. He was probably drinking because he didn't even want to go outside. I don't know what you guys were doing, but we
It's
were
none of
just
your business,
outside.
like
We
you-
just kept seeing these lights go up and then go down, and it's just like maybe it's helicopters behind the tree line.
Uh-huh.
So they kept going down behind the tree line and kept going back up. And then they'd start going up and then sideways, then back down. And then they'd start going up and then getting really bright and then just vanishing.
Sorry to cut Daniel off. At this point, I'm inside. Me and another buddy were having a couple beers, and Daniel's furious. Guys, get out here now! Something's going on. Something's going on. We're laughing. We're laughing at him. Of course, we've had a couple.
You got to tell him it's a ghost. He'd be flying out
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
He'd be like
He's
breakneck
like, "This
speed.
what's going on," and we didn't believe him. So the phenomenon continued, and I thought Daniel was just full of it.
But he did see the lights before they started acting different
Yeah.
ways. When we first saw
I
them,
did see
everybody
lights
was
in the trees,
outside
but I
looking at
didn't
them.
think too much of it. I thought it was just maybe a lumber project or something like that. What got me was when Daniel called us out there furiously. We came out there and there's nothing there, so we started making fun of him.
Well,
And-
let me explain the rest
Okay.
on how we actually figured that it might have been a UFO.
Okay.
So it gets up above the tree line again, and then it goes really bright in the sky. It's like or brighter than the moon. Then it vanishes again. Then it appears really quickly, and then it goes into the tree line, and you can see, like, when you see a flashlight shining in the trees, and you can see that reflection everywhere. It's flying through the trees, and then it pops out above us. Just a light. That's all we can see is a light. And then me and my brother are just like terrified. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking of my brother, and he's like, we need to go get them now. So I go running, and then it actually flies right over us, and then it goes off. So we go get Chris, and obviously Chris
Well, that makes
and our
sense. It
buddy
was
out
looking
there.
for intelligent life, and it took off.
Yeah, that may be true. But anyways, we get out there, and do you want to tell the rest of that story
Yeah.
when they get out there?
So we get out there, and again, Daniel's adamant about what he saw. Our other buddy, we're like, there's probably a lumber project, something going on in the brush. Like, it's nothing. No, dude, it's a UFO. Like, he got mad to the point where he had me by my shirt. This is what it was. I'm like, no.
Daniel did?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, it was not anything like that. And as soon as I looked him dead in the face, he goes, no. I'm like, no, you're wrong. A 6-unit military convoy drives onto the property and drives down toward the brush. At this point, my jaw just drops on the ground.
So military just shows up out of the blue.
After this light phenomenon had taken place.
Actually, it happened a little different than that. It was actually, we saw the hazard lights inside the forest of where we seen the lights at. And then they came back afterwards, and then that's when they all saw them driving back and leaving the area. And there was a couple military units. There was a huge trailer. They were all guarding, like a couple in the front, a couple in the back.
Like they were
And-
armed on the truck.
Wow.
And there was just some huge trailer. I don't know if they had anything inside of it, obviously. But they were driving away from that, and they were in the area that we had spotted from the UFO sighting.
So us being kids, what did we do after they cleared out?
You went down there.
We went down there.
Well, yeah.
remember
of
that.
course.
Have you ever tried to be drunk and stumble through brush? It's about knee high.
No, Chris, I've never drank before. I don't know what you were talking about or what that could be
It's
like.
difficult. It's difficult.
It's difficult, yeah.
Yeah. We didn't find anything though. We didn't
No, we
find
didn't
anything.
find
We found a couple
anything.
bird marks on trees.
Could have been from anything, though.
Exactly.
But yeah, that
So
was.
was that the one that kind of just fueled your passion? Or
No, I
your-
actually liked it before that. It was just, that was my biggest experience in something like that. I've
So-
never actually seen anything
So
like that before.
if ET is listening and watching right now, and he wants to come down and abduct somebody for some experiments and see other worlds, you're that man.
For exploring other worlds, yeah.
What
Not
about
for,
Because
I don't think they.
explore your world.
I don't think they have
No,
latex gloves
I
in
think-
space.
I would avoid that then.
Yeah.
Hey, you gotta pay for your ride, man. Like that's
The
just kind of how it
fecal, the
goes.
fecal fulong. I don't imagine that would be fun.
I'd rather be their cook.
Okay, so what about this? You know, we're talking about UFOs.
Right.
You know, to me, it's fascinating. I don't know a lot about it. You know, the Area 51 thing and all those rumors swell around about how things are happening, and you know, people try to go
It's
down
funny
and
you
check
said
it out.
because one of our members, Kid Crazy, Proby,
Yeah,
what else we call him, Sub-Zero, other things.
Handlebar.
Yeah, that guy
Yeah, that guy
was just there.
was just at Area 51.
Yeah.
And he came back. He seems a little different though. The
Yeah,
last time I saw him,
and you wonder why.
I think he got probed.
You think so?
I think he
Proby
did.
got probed?
Proby got probed. Yeah, they were
We
all.
should make a T-shirt.
They were all up in
We
that.
should make a T-shirt.
Proby been probed.
Yeah, Proby been probed.
I like it. So
I'd
yeah,
wear it.
it's fascinating to me.
I'd
that-
still go and check out that place. Though.
I think to me it's just in our quest for the truth, and I like to see an open book. I want to know the truth. If we have a question, why can't they answer it? If there's this place out there in the middle of nowhere where people can't fly over it, people can't drive around it, why?
Because people,
Because it's owned by the government, it's a government.
it's not just that, but I mean,
Military base.
imagine, so people like you and I, if we were told tomorrow aliens are real and we're given proof, it'd blow our minds. We'd be in shock for a couple days, but we'd be able to handle it and go from there. If you told a large group
Mass
people-
hysteria,
yeah,
craziness.
I honestly don't think that anymore. I think after
I think
all
you
the
have
world's
way
been
too much
through,
faith in the human race.
no, I think there would be people that are crazy and freak out. But I think the mass majority of people aren't as attached to religion as they used to be. So now religion is a big thing that causes them for panic because it's some out of their range of.
Exactly.
And
but
I believe
if you
that
prove
we're
aliens
so-
exist, you essentially, and you can't all the way because I think it was the Old Testament that said that we were the most beloved creation in all of the universe. So that was when that we're the most beloved creation of anything. But
in the universe,
Yeah.
our universe.
the universe is vast and expanding and never ending.
We're not talking about multiverse. We're talking about universe, which include our
you know,
galaxies.
that's actually so. Can we discuss that for a second? Can we discuss multiverse real
Well, no, I
quick?
want to finish this one.
Just real quick, can we touch on multiverse?
Sure.
What are your thoughts on multiverse?
I think it's a possibility.
You think it's just a possibility? That's
Okay.
going to be bigger than just a possibility.
So what people
Well,
don't,
I would-
people who don't understand it, what is multiverse?
the multiverse theory is a theory that there are separate planes of existence that kind of stack up on top of each other.
Okay.
There's different
They're existing in the
planes.
same spot, but in different timelines.
So there's like another Big Tony
Yep.
in another area doing the same thing.
But except he
That's-
cannot be big. He can be small.
Exactly,
Tony.
and the theory with a lot of like cryptozoology and stuff like that,
Yeah.
the big theory, the big running theory with that is like werewolf sightings and vampire sightings and chupacabra sightings and all that stuff.
Chupacabra.
What is it, the chupacabra he called it? Chupacabra?
That's him.
Chupacabra?
He was the one looking for the chupacabra.
That wasn't me.
I
Anyway,
have film.
one
I
of
have
the working
footage. I have
theories
proof.
That was goof off.
One of the
but
working theories they have is that when these things crash into each other and collide,
Okay.
you can briefly see into that other plane of existence. And that's how you get your Bigfoot sightings. That's how you get all these different sightings because you're having a quick crash and sometimes something can get through.
that could also explain some kind of like ghost sightings and stuff as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it can cross over into that area as well.
In theory, we could be hunting things that are alive just on a different plane of existence.
Yeah. And I
very
could be
true.
like Jet Li and I am the one.
That
That-
is a
I
good
am Jude
explanation
Law.
of that.
Time
though.
out.
That-
That is the best reference you have. I was waiting for something so much more glorious from you than that.
That's a perfect example of it because he believed in the multiverse and they could travel from multiverse to multiverse, and the more that he went out
No,
and did
no,
away
no.
from his
But there's
other
only
selves,
23, I believe, in that
No,
one.
the point of the one was going through killing everybody in the
everybody-
multiverse.
so he
you're the most
became
powerful.
the one
Yeah.
where it's like our energy is spread out in all
But
these
there's
different
all different
multiverses.
kinds of theories though too. They think if you
Yeah.
actually see your other you in a different dimension, then you're both going to just vanish. out of
Well,
thin
I
air.
agree because that's just too much hotness in one spot. We'd probably both die of shock.
Who's he talking about?
I
Me.
don't know.
This guy.
You're like 74.
Just a minute ago I was 59. Now
And
I'm
you've aged
74.
again.
I aged again.
Yes.
Okay. I'm still
Yeah.
sexier than you.
That'd be something to talk about too in the future. That's
I think
Multiverse is
that's
pretty
something
cool.
really cool to touch on because it really brings us into the whole idea of beasties, cryptozoology, things like werewolves and Mothman.
So
and-
that could be multiverses crashing in, and somewhere out there could be a whole society of us that are all vampires
yeah.
in theory.
or werewolves. Because we got a little bit of werewolf right here.
I'm sorry, the werewolf idea. Tell me how cool that would be. How cool would it be to be able to shapeshift into this monstrous thing, eat somebody's face, and then shapeshift back and be like, okay, I'm back to me.
Clothes would be spendy.
A little bit. But if you go by the moon phases, you notice to be naked during the full moon, and you'd be good to go.
People
Yeah.
actually think like the heaven and hell are two different planes as well.
That is actually that is true.
So they're like part of a multiverse, but it's celestial and then
Inferno.
inferno, yeah, whatever you want to call that. So there's just theories, obviously, but you
But
never know.
I think the multiverse theory is one of the best theories I've heard in a long time because it explains. Granted, it's a working theory. Everything is a working theory, but it explains so much of what we do in that theory. Claiming that there's different planes of existence would really kind of answer why we see ghosts, why we have all these different monster sightings.
Yeah.
In some ways, it can even explain the UFO phenomenon.
What is it, Occam's razor? The movie Contact, the theory that no matter how improbable the solution may seem,
Right.
that once you get through all the nonsense and the one that makes the most sense, no matter how improbable, it must be true.
Well,
Isn't that Occam's razor? Help me out, you're the brain.
I watched Contact a long time ago.
Really?
Yeah, it
Because
was a
you're-
long. I was
you're
like
sold.
probably 13 years old.
Yeah,
when I
Occam's
watched it.
razor, I believe, is what they called it. That phenomenon of no matter how far-fetched or how absurd the solution is, that's what makes
I believe
sense.
at the end of the movie she went to a different plane as well.
She did. She went to they called it a different planet. I mean,
Yeah.
but it was like a different plane that they invited her to.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing. That's working. Another thing, like with time travel, for example, the working theory on time travel is that you don't travel through time, but you travel from
To
one
another
plane to
place.
another.
Yeah, and that's
Like
like
there's
makes a lot more
movie called
sense.
Event Horizon that actually summed it up really well.
Yeah.
And that was actually a horror movie, which was phenomenal. The eyes in the hand. Oh, that was great. But the idea of time travel was
you should watch
instead
Sunshine.
of zapping from point A to point B, that
Point A to point A1.
yeah, that it would in turn fold space and punch a hole. Because they always say that the shortest distance between two places is a straight line, not if you fold it in half and just go straight through.
Yeah.
So, and the idea in this movie was that when they went straight through, like because somehow they folded space and have to be able to shoot straight through, when
Yeah.
they went through, they went into hell. That was the plane that they had to get through to be able to warp that fast.
It's kind of like the whole X-Men theory where Nightcrawler, the character, he actually, when he teleports from place to place, he goes through a different dimension of hell to get to the other place.
Right.
So that's kind of the same theory as well. But timelines and time travel are a little bit different too, because if you created a time machine to go back to fix something, you would have never, that when your future comes again, you would have never had the reason to create that system again to go back in time to change that.
You would create an alternate timeline.
Yeah, it's a paradox, which
Yeah.
would never actually happen, because you would have never created in the first place to change that time. It would have never ever happened. So it kind of defaults itself.
Well, then that's the joy about a paradox is it's just
Yeah.
done. So,
But yeah, one thing I wanted to bring up, and it's about a movie, and it's about the UFOs and stuff like that too. And you know, everybody's heard about the gray men,
Yeah.
the big aliens, either green or gray with the big eyes, the big heads, and they're really tall. So I've told Chris about this before too, and it's a movie called Fire in the Sky. It's actually one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's about a supposed real abduction. It was in White Mountain, Arizona, I believe it was. That it actually took place in that town around there. So what had happened? There was these lumber guys. One guy got abducted and went on their way home. They saw like some red lights
Great
in the
movie.
sky.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You did see that
Yeah,
then.
it's a great movie.
So the references.
The Terminator guy was in it.
I believe
the one that
so.
played the new Terminator, the small one.
I'd have to-
Patrick something.
I'd have to go look at that again.
Great movie. They're in like a truck and they're all like lumberjacks.
Yeah,
and
so
they're
one guy
driving.
gets abducted and he's gone for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and then they're like, they've already had like lie detector tests. And this is real
this is
things. These are
actually-
actual
this is actually
tests
based
of
on a
how
real story.
Based on a
Yeah.
true story.
Yeah.
So they actually had lie detector tests from the actual police department, stuff like that, and they all passed them except for one was kind of fidgety a little bit. So the guy returned, and then they started talking to him and getting interviews with him and stuff like that. And then during the story of the movie, he's having flashbacks from what had happened to him and when he got abducted. And it's some of the most terrifying
Yeah.
scenes, especially for me when I was watching it as a kid,
Yeah.
what they did to him.
And I was an adult when I watched it, and it's freaky.
But
I mean,
the
it's,
reference when I'm talking about the big eyes and stuff like that, when he's getting dragged through these hallways on the ship, you see the aliens' faces. They're small aliens with big heads, but with tiny little beady eyes. They're evil looking. But then when he goes in this room after he wakes up, he's floating around this room and he's looking around, and then you see this big room. It's a circular room, and then you see like all these aliens like sitting around in a circle. And he's like, what's going on? He's like, they're not moving at all. So he starts floating up to him, and he looks up and he starts tapping on it. He's like, what? Spacesuits. So that got when I
The
looked up
theory
that.
of the gray man being a spacesuit. Okay.
Yeah, they're in spacesuits. That's the whole point of them having the big eyes and stuff like that too, because maybe they can't breathe their air and that kind of stuff. That theory, like, out of that kind of like the information that they provided in that movie, kind of proved to me that
Well,
that
that's
was more.
based on an actual case file that
Yes.
took place.
well, and
so-
there's another one that's based on actual events that I liked, and that was Fourth Kind.
That was
That was
oh my
another good one
goodness.
too.
Scared when the officer's sitting outside there at the end, and all of a sudden you see the ship comes above and sucked out. I mean, that's and that was based on
what got me was the
actual
video when they were doing the hypnosis.
hypnosis,
And
the
they
people
circle
were
back
like,
and yeah.
Oh, yeah.
scary. And that was based on apparently that town in Alaska has more reported abductions than anywhere on the planet.
That is actually
Isn't
at
it?
this time is no longer true.
Okay.
They did hype it up. I remember reading something online after the movie came out that town was pretty upset about the idea that was the case. They do have a lot of missing persons because it's an island. You fly in and you boat out. That's it. That's all. That's the only way you can get there.
Yeah.
And they do have quite a few missing persons that they can't solve. So when they put that movie out, it really made that town upset because
Selling the
they're
movie
yeah.
and making it, but yeah, that was terrifying.
it was a terrible. Yeah, that was
Unbelievable. Both
There's
those movies are.
yeah, and about
the
that
whole
fire,
White Owl thing.
that whole
Yeah.
fire in the sky thing too. I think you should check it out sometime because there's an actual scene where he's abducted and what they do to him. They put him on the table and they put this like weird like clean or clear sheet or like it looks like a what do you got, a sheet, just like a white sheet, and they put it over him and then they spray this mist on him and then it just like scrunches all of his skin to the table, like it literally wraps his whole body and his face, everything. So he's like suffocating. And it's like, you can see it like wrapping around his neck, everything. It's just like completely wrapping around him. And then they cut a little hole in his mouth so he can breathe, and then one piece in his eye. And they start shoving this like black oil stuff down his throat, this jelly stuff, and then start shoving a tube down his throat, and then clamp his mouth open, and then they clamp his eye open, and they start drilling him in the eye with a needle. And that's where ends his like vision right there on his when he was doing that. But
Do you believe that stuff's possible? Do you believe that these cases of abduction that have said things like this, that have gone out there with these kind of claims? What do you think as far as the validity behind that type of stuff?
I believe it could be possible for one reason. I think people think because they say they get abducted by, or they abduct cows and stuff like that. I think if it's really true, they're way smarter than us. They're by far smarter than us. So they're thinking we're ants to them. So we're going to study them, see how they work, what we can do with from here on out, how we can harvest the planet, or whatever they're planning on doing, whatever, just research. And I think we grab bugs, animals, stuff all the time, and we do biopsies on them.
We are the ants in
autopsies.
the magnifying glass.
Yep.
What do you think about the whole idea of abduction and that phenomenon?
Yeah, it's not that far-fetched to me. I mean, we live in a big world. We would be really naive to think that we're here alone, that we're it. Are we so entitled and into ourselves that we actually believe that we're it? That we're, I mean, it's a big world. Look in the sky. It goes on forever.
One of the best lines I've ever heard, though, was from a TV show. It was from CSI. And I can't remember the dude's name, but he's sitting there talking to this lady who was trying to kill herself to be abducted by the mothership. And he goes, if there are aliens, they are smart enough to stay away from us. Because we're violent.
we blow up ourselves.
We're violent.
Every
species.
time
blow
someone
ourselves
upsets us, we blow them up. We've
Right.
got nukes. I mean, they've probably got the ability to see what we have capability of doing.
Right.
They've seen Independence Day. Come on now.
But think of it this way, though. If they
Welcome
find
to Earth.
if they find any
Earth.
kind of, they've already found water on Mars.
I know.
So they've already found that they will not touch it though because they don't want, if there's anything inside that water, any kind of microbes, anything like that, they don't want to contaminate it with the machine that they have there.
Could mess up the whole environment.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with that yet, obviously, but hopefully there's some way we can
So-
find something on there.
Interesting question for me. What do you think? People going to Mars soon?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe so. They already have that plan.
2021, 2021.
There's actually
they're retrofitting the space
yeah, and
shuttles
there's
now.
actually you're able to buy your way on top of that, and you can actually volunteer. You'd have to go through obviously the
It's a 3-month
astronaut
trip.
testing and stuff like that. It's actually a lifetime trip.
How much? It's
They're gonna
you're done. You're
terraforming.
gone. They're gonna set up a
Wait,
colony.
they're colonizing Mars.
That's
They're
what they
trying to
talked about.
colonize, yeah.
Yeah.
When you make that plan, you're going to be there forever.
And it's a ridiculous amount of money that you have to pay.
Yeah.
I think we should start a fundraiser. GoFundMe for
GoFundMe
Daniel.
for Daniel for
Daniel's
Mars.
going to go to Mars.
I'm not going to go to Mars for that, no.
Why?
If I want to go to outer space, I want to travel. I don't want to go stuck on one Mars trying to
One
populate
Mars,
But think
Or
about it.
on
One
Mars.
small step for man.
one giant leap
for mankind.
baby Jesus.
For baby Jesus.
it. No,
You wouldn't do that for us?
no, I wouldn't.
We could do an episode every other week with you like calling in from Mars and telling us how it is.
Seriously?
Oh, that's okay.
Imagine the long distance fees on that one.
That feed would take a long time just to
You
get
would,
to you to
you would
report
say
back.
something and like 2 weeks later we'd get it and then we respond to it.
It'd have to be
the
through video
longest-
sending. It wouldn't be
longest
live.
phone call in the history.
Well, I guess to end this all, we've touched on so many things tonight. We've touched on the multiverse theory. We've touched on UFOs,
I am the one.
abductions.
One in this
So
realm.
in closing, if there were aliens watching now, somehow they hijacked the broadcast, what would be the one thing you guys would say to extraterrestrial life out there?
He wants you to take him.
As long as you're peaceful and we're just going to
There's no
explore.
stipulations.
Yes,
you can't
there
say,
is.
okay, you can abduct me as long as you're nice.
Why couldn't I give a stipulation?
Because they don't
They're
care.
abducting you.
They're either
not
going to take me
care.
or not anyways. I can still say what I want.
Abduction is not a nice thing.
You know what
Could
this
be.
means, right? Daniel, you're getting abducted, buddy.
Like Sherry Ireland?
You're putting yourself out there, and you're getting taken.
No.
And Liam Neeson,
gonna grab your wrist and take you
will
with me.
not find you.
I'm just going to grab you and take me with you.
All right,
Oh, Lord.
I guess that kind of wraps it up for us today, guys. I mean, what do you think, Tony?
I'm good. I don't think I have anything to add except that, he's going to be abducted someday. All right.
Bye,
I'm Big
Tony.
Tony. I'm Big Tony.
He's preying on me
Another
right now.
episode of Abnormality. You got Chris,
Daniel.
Baby Jesus. Till next time, guys.
Take care.
Take care.